Staying in Edinburgh, Paul is there. Paul, what would you like to say?
Hi, James. Thanks for taking the call.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit confused on this conversation. The conversation is about Nicola Sturgeon, how she was found guilty by the committee.
No, it's not, mate. Let me help you out. It's about the straight comparison between the independent advisor on the ministerial code, one in Scotland, one in England, the English one conducting an inquiry into Priti Patel's conduct, finding that she'd breached it and resigning in disgust at the Prime Minister's failure to do anything about it. The one in Scotland, undertaken by someone who has exactly the same job title, found that she hadn't breached it. But here we are.
Okay. We have two different countries and we have two different parliaments. Each parliament deal with their own. I don't know why.
That's why you need an independent advisor on the ministerial code, isn't it, to avoid partisan loyalties?
If you'd let me finish, then we could.
I thought you were confused. I was trying to help you.
Yeah, okay, but you're talking about Priti Patel. But the conversation is why Nicola Sturgeon was found guilty by.
No, again, the conversation is about whether or not the saga of the last few days will have changed the temperature or the direction of Scottish politics. I'm not going to apologise, Paul, because I do think I've made that pretty clear. It's not my fault.
We're not talking about Nicola Sturgeon being found guilty by the independent committee.
Well, she wasn't.
She was found guilty.
Well, it's not an independent committee. It's a parliamentary committee. The reason you need an independent advisor is because members of Parliament are, by definition, not independent, mate. There's only so much confusion I can help you with.
Okay, so James Hamilton was employed by the SNP to give advice prior to this his independent findings.
I think that. So now you're questioning his independence. No wonder you're confused. So what was the point of having an inquiry in the first place then?
Well, exactly, because he wasn't independent according to the Scottish newspapers, because he's been paid prior to giving advice.
Okay, and I guess Alex Allen being a civil servant and therefore in the pay of the Treasury means that he couldn't be trusted either. But let me just give you one chance to answer the question that everybody else has understood me to be asking. Okay. How do you think the saga of the last few days has affected the independence cause or the SNP project?
Okay, because we live in Scotland and live in Edinburgh, you wouldn't believe how insular these SNP people are. I would like to ask these SNP people... But
you can't, mate, because you haven't got a radio show. I'm asking you how you think the events of the last few days have changed the temperature of Scottish politics.
Well, the SNP will just band together because...
Yeah, but stop telling me what other people think. Tell me what you think, Paul.
Well, I think that, as the last guy caller said, that the SNP cronies will grind their teeth, and the other side will do the same, and it'll be nowhere. It's been voted no independence. Now they just keep banging on to try and get the independence.
Right.
And it's like,
independence from what?
From the UK, from Britain.
From, in a sense, from the government that completely ignored the guilty... for the people that completely ignored the guilty finding in an independent inquiry into breaches of the ministerial code. I can't imagine why they'd want to break away from that. Can you?
Well, can I just say what would happen if they were in...
you can't. Alex is in Perth. Alex, what would you like to say?
Hi, James. I'd just like to say you've actually nailed it in terms of...
How dare you? Paul's convinced that I'm an enemy of an agent of the enemy.
And by the way, I'm not a Scottish nationalist.
No.
I'm 67 years old. I've been sort of interested and active in politics all my life, and I'm not a nationalist. I had decided that I was tempted to vote SNP for the first time in my life simply because to get rid of the obscenity of the nuclear bombs that the UK keeps in Scotland, but that's a separate issue. What I will say is that the hypocrisy involved in this is that the Tories have shot themselves in the foot. They've really done it. The Scottish Tories in particular have gone way off beam on this, and the average voter in Scotland will say, we've had enough. And ultimately what will happen is Scotland will be independent, and you'll have your bombs to put somewhere in England, and eventually, it will be beyond my time, Scotland will become a different kind of country where the SNP will split. Hello, sorry.
No, I'm fascinated. I'm just conscious of the time. Has your weather vane been blown particularly over the last few weeks?
It's because of the clique who are in control of the English government at the moment. They're dangerous. They're dangerous people. They're Trumpians. they think what they say is true when, in actual fact, most of them are psychopaths.
Do they? Well, I prefer the word sociopath. I don't know why, but I can't argue with your analysis. But I can, unfortunately, press the button to move on. Just to clarify something, a lot of people are referring back to that claim that James Hamilton had somehow been employed by the SNP. I'm told that was somebody misreading Wikipedia or reading something untrue and tweeting it from Wikipedia. I haven't double-checked yet, so I won't name any names. Except to say that if it's true, the account that I'm being sent by quite a few people, the fellow who made that mistake has just been hired by Andrew Neil. So we've come full circle in an example of almost unbelievable and beautiful symmetry. It's 11 o'clock. The chap in Edinburgh who cast aspersions upon the independence of James Hamilton QC was talking undiluted twaddle. Arguably libelous, but obviously you're allowed to put these things forward on the programme. I always panic slightly when I think there might be a gap in my knowledge, but he was talking utter rubbish, based as far as we can tell upon some idiot punting lies from Wikipedia as if they were actually true. But hey-ho, welcome to the British media in 2021. 4 minutes